Hey there, welcome back to the Breakthrough Creative, or maybe it's your first time here, so welcome in for the first time. This is the place where we talk about the business of art and the art of business. My guest this week is Vanessa E. Vanessa is a dear friend. She's basically my sister, and she is an incredible singer, songwriter, vocalist. I know that's the same as singer, but vocalist is such a great word, and it says so much in so many more letters. A vocalist and an absolute rockin', shreddin' guitar solo, heavy metal, big hair band lady. And I'm so grateful to have her in my life, and I'm so grateful that she's going to be here sharing her journey from meager creative beginnings to vocal instructor now with her business, You Can Sing Too. So I'm going to get into the interview here in just a moment, but first I'm going to ask you, would you please subscribe to the Breakthrough Creative? If you're watching on YouTube, just hit the button below. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a subscription there. It helps with the algorithms. It helps to get the word out. And if you'd share the show with the artists in your life, I'd really appreciate it. So without further ado, here is my interview with my dear friend, Vanessa E.
I am Vanessa E. I go by E because Eichelberger, my married last name, is long. And that's a lot of letters. So I go by Vanessa E. And I am a singer, songwriter, vocal instructor, vocal coach. I am a wife. I'm a mother of three. And I'm making myself sound old, but I have two beautiful granddaughters who I adore. And so I love to be with them and love to create and love to teach. And I teach voice. I also teach guitar. Voice is I love to play guitar and I like to teach guitar as well. I started You Can Sing Too to specifically focus on vocal instruction. And so that I not only teach voice lessons online with awesome students, but I also created courses so that people could, singers can use the courses, throughout the week, grow their voice, and then, be able to reach their singing goals as well. So I have students that work with the courses and with the lessons, which is awesome. And then I have students that work with the courses on their own, which is cool too. So I really enjoy it. I love seeing people reach their goals and grow and be able to be able to do things they didn't think they could do with their singing. And so that makes me very happy.
Yeah, you're really good at that. I have been the beneficiary of Vanessa's coaching and teaching personally, and she's
Thank you.
given me some incredible tools to be able to use while I'm singing.
Thank you. Well, and you have a great voice. So it was just showing you ways to be able to relax and access your range. And, you already have this gift, and I just helped you to be able to use it better.
Yeah, you were really well. Thank you, and you were really no pun intended, instrumental in helping with that. And as a visual artist, it's easy for me to take for granted other people's giftedness as like, oh well, they can just sing, or they can just play guitar, or they can just author a book, right? But there are always tools, and there's coaching, and there's learning, and I mean, there's a process for everybody, and it's not
Mhm.
just about your talent or what you can do at that moment. Everybody's,
Mhm.
well, if you're in it for the long haul, you're growing, or you should be growing, right?
Mhm. Definitely. Yeah, I can honestly say that everything that I feel like I can do well did not come easy to me. I never had the luxury of being that person that was just like, like la la, I could just do this, like Michael Jordan, a basketball, like he's so gifted, or, you know, how it was for you, but you just had this talent for drawing. Like I've always had to work at things. Even if I had a gift, or I'm like, I would write songs when I was a kid, you know, but I had to work at becoming a better songwriter, you know. Singing, I love to sing. I was singing as a kid, but I didn't like, what's the word I'm looking for? Seriously sing until after I was in the band. I was in a band, you know, all girl, all female rock, hard rock band, and I was the guitar player and background singer. And so I didn't seriously sing until after that band, and I had to work on it. You know, I had to like, so I didn't see myself as a lead singer. So that took time. And, you know, I worked on my guitar playing. I was a lead guitar player. I had to, you know, I took lessons, and, you know, so I always had to work. I never was that person that just was like, I always, like, we all want to be, right? That person that's just like, boom, don't need lessons, don't need work, just here I am. But that's
I
never
don't
worked
think
that way
that's
for me.
real, do you? I mean, that people just have it. I mean, it's always a process. You know, I was
Yeah, I
texting
think it's
with,
an exception probably. You know,
yeah,
you do hear about those people that, you know, yeah, they didn't, you know, it's like, wow, you never had a lesson, or wow, you never had to, you know, but I think that's really, really rare. I think the majority of us have to, right? Don't you think?
I do. And I think it's a fairy tale that is really cool. Like everybody would like to believe it. Like that's the myth,
Mm-hmm.
especially with
Mm-hmm.
artists, because we tend to romanticize all this stuff. But the
Mm-hmm.
truth is, like, it's hard work. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I worked hard to learn the stuff I've learned. I know you've worked hard. So, you know, you had mentioned that you were in a rock and roll band. Tell me about before that. Like what came first? Was it the singing? Was it the guitar? Was it the writing? How old were you when like the spark came for you?
Well, when I was a kid, I always made up my own songs, just singing, you know, making up songs. And um, so I guess you could say that would probably be songwriting. You know, I didn't know how to write a verse and a chorus. I just made up, you know, parts of songs and sang. And then when I was a preteen, I said to my mom, I want to play drums, because my dad was a drummer, and you know, he had passed when I was young, when I was 3. So, but I said I want to be a drummer, and she said, no, drums are too loud. No, you're not. We're not doing that. And I said, okay, well then, how about guitar? And she said, yeah, you can play guitar. So I got a guitar, and I took a few lessons, and then, you know, played around with the guitar and everything, started writing songs with the guitar, and then took a few more lessons. You know, when I became a teen, you know, my mom, she said, well, if you want to do it, you can pay for your own lessons. I was working, so I did. I paid for my own lessons. And so I learned some, you know, a few things. I learned some classical guitar playing, but I think actually, in reality, that came actually a little earlier. I wanted to play rock music, so I did the classical lessons, and then I was like, I'm kind of really interested in rock music. So what am I going to do with it? So I was the rock chick. So I really was into, you know, hard rock. And so I had friends that played guitar. So they would teach me, you know, songs and everything, you know, like of the songs that we were listening to. So I learned how to play that way. And then I took some more lessons. So I was kind of in and out of taking lessons. I learned, you know, from people I knew and everything, take some more lessons, and then come, you know, practice that, come back, and, you know, do some more lessons. And then and this was in New Mexico, because that's where I grew up. And then when I decided that I wanted to move back to Chicago, because I was born here, but we moved to the Southwest when I was young. So I wanted to come back. I have family that lives here, so I was going to stay with my aunt, and I was going to be a famous rock star. That was it. That was like my goal. I was like, I'm going to move back to the city, because I thought I'm not going to make it here in the small town. You know, I was like, you know, playing my guitar, my electric guitar and everything. I was in a band in New Mexico too. So I was in a band there, and
What was that band called?
I don't even remember if we had a name. We were playing in the back of the house that I lived in, there is a little back, kind of like separate, it wasn't done then, but it was just like cinder block. This like, it had a door, and it had like a laundry area, but then there's like this big area with nothing. So we put egg cartons on the wall. We put egg cartons on the walls, and that's where we would practice. So we had, and then we were
Wait,
just
did you put
doing
the
like
egg
covers.
curtains on the wall to help with the sound?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So we put a bunch of egg cartons up there. We practiced, and it was a cover band. I was the only female, so I was doing, we were doing stuff, like Pat Benatar, and trying to think what else we were doing. I think we might have done like uh what's the, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. The Brass and Pocket, what's the group name?
The
Pretenders. I
the
think we did that.
Pretenders.
Pretenders, yeah. We did Pat Benatar, and I was really into Heart. Um, so I don't remember if we did a Heart song, but I know I wanted to. But we weren't together that long. We would just kind of get together and practice, and so it never like we never performed anywhere. It was a practicing, and we were,
Yeah.
and then we did some writing too, and that was cool. But like I said, I was playing guitar, going to see lots of concerts. Back in New Mexico, we'd go to Las Cruces or El Paso, Texas to watch concerts. And then I decided I'm going to move back to Chicago. I'm going to be a rock star. I'm going to go to college and stay with my aunt. So right as soon as I graduated, I was not even 18 yet. And I moved. It was like 2 months before my birthday, I remember. Actually, 1 month. It was in September. Actually, I moved back to Chicago, and I stayed with my aunt, and I got in a band. And well, wait, let me back up. I didn't get in a band right away. I started taking some more guitar lessons and was playing and writing songs and everything. And then I was like, I want to get in a band. And so I answered an ad, because back then, you had like, you know, there was ads for things, so it was like, I don't remember if it was in the paper or what, with,
Was it in a reader or something?
yeah, I think so. So I called, and it was all girl, there was a drummer and a bass player, and they, were playing rock music. And so I auditioned. And at the time I was singing too. I was singing and playing guitar, but I didn't want to be the lead singer because I didn't feel like I was good enough for that. Even though I had been in a band and I was doing some singing, I felt like I don't want to be the main singer. I'll just kind of like play the guitar. So then we looked for a singer. Then we found a singer. So I think it was just probably my own fear too, of feeling like I don't think I'm good enough to be the lead singer. So, it's one thing if I write my own songs and I'm in a band and I sing a few songs here and there, but if I'm going to like do this the whole time, I kind of felt like I wasn't, good enough. So I was just kind of more focusing on the guitar and songwriting. So, and in that band was called Shell Evade, and we played a lot of places in the Chicagoland area. We played Thirsty Whale, we played a lot of I remember Chances Are, we played clubs in Rockford and, all around here. And, we were featured in The Rocker. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
so
Yeah.
we went on, we were on The Loop with Jonathan Bramhar. We were on there. We got asked to be on there. And yeah, we had an article. That was in the Tribune, and it was by Richard Roper. Do you remember him?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did a feature article on us, and that's how we got on the Jonathan Bramhar show.
So were you
And
guys on a trajectory? You guys were going somewhere?
well, we wanted to. Yeah, we definitely were trying to get signed, and we did some demos, and I mean, we were pretty popular, back during this time. But I think, in looking back, I think we just missed like this type of music
Mm-hmm.
by a couple of years. You know what I mean? I think it, at that, because then at that time, like grunge started becoming real popular, and like I feel like we just like had we had, a few years earlier, I think, yeah, I think we would have probably been able to, get a record deal, but I think we were just past that, you know what I mean? That window of what's hot right now in this
Yeah.
type of music, you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, because, my husband Greg, who was in a band at the
Who?
same time. That's how we met. That's how we met. And he's a guitar player, and and I was playing guitar, and we've kind of talked about that era. Our bands played together, and that's one thing that he said. Like, I think it was a timing thing for us, but I'm really thankful that I didn't become famous, because there's so many other things like it led me to that I'm thankful for, like writing my own music. And, like towards the end of the band days, I became a Christian. I remember that. Like, I started going to this church. I didn't realize that, like, being a Christian could be cool in the sense. I know that sounds weird, but I felt like, you mean I can go to a church and they can play, like, rock music, and they can explain things in a way that I can understand? Like, that's okay? Like, that is acceptable? Like, wow, God is, like, he's good with that. Like, I just thought that was amazing, and I think that's when it all came together for me. And I decided to quit the band maybe like a year later, I think, after that, because I wanted to take a break. We had been playing a lot, and then also, was newly married, and just kind of take some time off. And then I had this new faith I was excited about, and then I started writing songs. I started writing songs about experiencing my faith and what that was like, and sometimes confusing, some amazing and confusing, and hard at times. And that's how I started writing. And then and at that time, my husband Greg started recording, so he was recording me. He was recording my songs, so that was awesome. Yes, it was like the perfect mix. I know, it's like, I have songs I want to record. Well, great. Now my husband records too. That was awesome. So I started just recording songs, and then that's how I did my first album, because we just did it together. Like, we didn't even have a band. I wrote these songs, and he programmed the drums, and played the bass. I programmed it, and we played the guitars. Mostly him. I played some guitar on the album, and we recorded it in our basement. And and then I started, doing, performing at like coffee houses, and then eventually I got a band together, and they were awesome. And we would, play where we could, because there's limited venues for playing, Christian music originals, so we would play at, churches, or, events, and, things like that, and then sometimes we did some covers too, so that we could play other places, like we did play, a couple like bars and things like that. And we would do some, covers. And
What was it like to when you look back on it, to go from that rock and roll style and lifestyle, I guess, to the Christian music, which still rocks. I mean, there's heavy metal Christian music,
yeah,
but I imagine the connection is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Like when you're playing clubs, we were, both, my husband and I in different bands, gigging a lot. And, it is a different lifestyle. I will say, this is a confession. I kind of peaked with my wildness more in high school. So by the time I was in the band, I was kind of like, this is serious. Like, like I wasn't, the party days. Like, I think I had already done a lot of that. And, like my kind of, like, I would say, like the rock and roll lifestyle, like we didn't really have that in this band. because we were like, we're going to get famous. We need to be serious. We're practicing, this many times a week, and we're gigging, so yeah, I mean, we maybe have a beer or two after gigging, but we weren't not having a wild lifestyle at that point. I had my wild lifestyle earlier. So, I mean, so for me to go from that band to other than, obviously I'm writing about my faith. So that was different. And yes, we were playing in a lot different venues. So that was a lot different, but as far as lifestyle goes, I wasn't in, the real kind of living in that lifestyle when we were in the band, if that makes sense. But yeah, it was definitely different, but I liked it. It was this new adventure too. It was like, wow, I'm not coming home at 3 a.m. smelling like smoke, like I remember, like, my everything would smell like smoke. And, I've been in the clubs, and, I was tired, and you can't, get up the next morning, and right away because you're tired because you've been up so late. So it was refreshing to, do a gig and come home at 10 or 10:30, I mean, and there was we had some funny moments too. I mean, when you play at like coffee houses, you're like singing a, song that's like touching, and it's about your faith, or, something like, you're really sharing, and then all of a sudden you hear bzzz, and it's the, the coffee grinder. So I mean, it had its moments too, but but there was things I think at that time in my life I liked, it's like, I'm ready to come home, and, like at 10:30 or 11 or whatever, this is done. I don't have to stay up till 3, and,
Were you guys making any money doing that?
When?
Which
time?
Well, I guess both times, when you were playing with the rock band and then when you were playing with the Christian band. Was it a revenue stream for you, or you were still kind of working that out?
Yeah. Both times the money that we received went back into, like, when we were in the band. Yes, we would get paid, a few $100s to play this gig, or, that, but it always went back into the band because we were recording, we're making, CDs. So we have to pay for that. We got to pay for our merchandising, and, so it always went right back into the band. It wasn't like, hey, I got some extra money because I played this gig. No, that never happened. It just went right. It funded the band. It funded, our love for doing it, basically, and the vehicle that we needed to, share our music, via recording, or, like I said, merchandising and that. And very similar in the, Christian realm, although there was definitely less money. Some gigs were like, it's a love offering, so people would, because we're having this artist out and you give a love offering, so they would just take up an offering. And so, it was like gas money, pretty much. I think that's probably the extent of it. And in in that band, in my own band, which was Vanessa E, there really wasn't any extra. Whatever there was either for gas to give the band, for coming out for gas, and really to mostly pay them to, for their time. It was usually just gas money, and then they were in with me, so I really didn't, get much money, from that at all. But what was great was that we have our own studio, and we could record for free, which is awesome. So, I mean, if you weigh it all out, I guess I was ahead in that realm.
And you've recorded how many albums?
4 full-length CDs, and then I've done a few EPs. So I've done, like just maybe with 5 songs. So yeah, 4 of them are full-length, and then the last few have been EPs. And
full-length is how many songs?
Well, it's usually, I think, at least like 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that realm, at least. Yeah. And usually an EP is around like 3 to 5.
Yeah.
And so I did a Christmas EP, and I think that was like about 5 or 6 songs. And then, the albums usually had about, somewhere 9 to 11, I'm guessing. I'll have to go back and count, but,
I mean, that's a substantial amount of work. I mean, to write the songs, compose the music, you know, get the
Yeah.
band together, do the recording. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
that's what's that experience been like for you?
I loved it. I loved it. And I miss it, to be honest. I really do. I miss that aspect of it. I loved, being in our studio, being cramped, and having everyone here and it, practicing before we record, and then, doing the recording. That was fun. I think my favorite parts were, um, yeah, it's just being together. Well, writing the songs. I love writing. That's just a passion. It's just something I feel like, just it comes natural, but yes, I did have to work on it too. It's not like, oh, it just, I just wrote this perfect song. No, I write it and then I go back and, kind of edit and all that stuff. But I love doing it. And so I love that part. I love being with the other musicians, when they would come in and, do their parts. I love that. I love doing my vocals. Singing, in the studio. I got used to it. I didn't love it at first because it's so, sometimes you feel this pressure of, I've got to like do this track and it's got to be great. But then I got used to the process and it's like, it's okay. If I go and I do that take and I didn't like it, I can do it again. It's, so now I like it. I think the part I don't like as much is the mixing, but my husband does that. And then the like listening, because I feel like I can be um a perfectionist. That's the thing. Like it's like hard for me to say it's done,
Yeah.
so I think that's the part. A lot of times, my husband Greg will be like, okay, we're good, we got our tracks out. So I'm out. He's got to work mix, and he'll do a few and he'll let me hear them, and then I'll say, okay, well, here's my feedback. This is great. I think we could, move this up a little bit, or, add this or blah, blah. And then I'll give him my fixes, and he'll go, okay, great. Bye. He makes me get out, because otherwise I just like analyze it too much, so he makes me leave, which is good because I lose perspective after a time. I'm like, is this louder? He's like, same, it's at the same level. I'm like, okay, I need to leave right now because I totally lost perspective. So I like the creative process. I don't care for that process. It's just not my zone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, I was talking to an artist the other day and he was sharing his work with me, and like he's really like excelling. It's really good. And I started to write practice makes perfect in a communication to him. And for some
Mm-hmm.
reason before I sent it, I'm like, I don't want to say that. I wrote practice makes progress. and
Mm-hmm.
and it felt really appropriate because the more I work at my craft, the more I realize no such thing as perfect. Like,
Right.
just as it's an unattainable lie, and it
Mm-hmm.
seems to do more damage than good. And I'm like, I think I like that now. Maybe somebody else
Yeah.
said it or I heard it somewhere, but I like practice makes progress because you're just
Yeah.
always progressing.
Yeah, I like that too. And that's something that I really focus on, when I'm teaching is progress. It's about progress. Like, look, last week you weren't doing this. Now listen how you're singing this. Wow, that sounds amazing. It's about progress, because sometimes we just focus on where we want to be. And it's like and sometimes it's always this moving thing, right? It's like, we're waiting for this, perfect moment, or perfect, where we feel perfect, but that really doesn't happen because we're always growing,
Right.
and so it's interesting that you say that, because I had to change my thought about perfection, because I remember I coined this phrase when I think I was in high school. I was like, strive for perfection. That's how I was. And I was this overachiever in everything I did. I was really, going to go at it with, everything I had, and which is good, but it's also challenging when you don't celebrate your progress and you're on to the next thing, right? And so it's like, it's exhausting, So I remember after I became a Christian, and I know I said that to somebody, and that was wise and older than me, and then they questioned me and they said, do you really think that that is like a realistic you know, goal for yourself? And I was like, yeah. And then I thought about it and I was like, no, it's like, this is a journey. We're growing, and maybe striving for excellence, you know, or like you said, progress is a better way to look at it, because perfection, it's this never ending thing. And especially when it comes to artistic things, what somebody would say, that's perfect, another person would say, I don't like that, you know?
Right.
So then you just have to get to a point where you can, you know, say, okay, I mean, I do this with myself a lot, you know, okay, let it go. Let's just, and my husband will say that too. I'll be like, well, I just want this a little bit like this and this like this. And he'll be like, you know what, you need to walk away right now. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, I do. Because I catch myself wanting, you know, and it comes to my own things. But here I am when I teach other people, I'm like very like supportive and encouraging, but I find that I'm really hard on myself. So I'm working on that, because I'm like, hey, I'm teaching people and I believe it. Why don't I believe it for myself? So I've been like, stop it. Like, stop. Like, it's okay. Like, it's, you know what? It's not perfect. It's okay. Yeah. Do I feel good about this? You know, do I feel good about releasing this? Do I feel like, you know, if I feel bad about it, obviously I'm not going to put something out there, a video, or, you know, but when we record the YouTube videos, sometimes I'll be like, I could hear where I went, like, I did this word, you know, funny, or I did, you know, whatever. Oh, I wanted to say this, you know, and then we look back at it and, you know, like, overall, is it what I wanted? Yes. Was it perfect? No. It's okay. It's good. Right. Put it out there. Because otherwise you just go all day. It's like, no, can't.
Yeah.
Don't have time. Plus, I mean, that's another thing. Who has time to be perfect? I mean,
Right.
it's like, you know, I mean, we can't. It's just an unattainable thing. So I look at it to strive to, you know, for excellence, and, you know, to do well, to do what I do well, and not to do that. And also but I like what you said, progress, because I work with students on that. So I do tell myself to, as I'm growing into, you know, doing the online videos and things like that, you know, progress, look, you know, I'm more comfortable now, you know, on camera, and, you know, the thing, and with the things I'm doing. So,
Well, it's interesting because you and I have been on this journey almost simultaneously, where you have an online business that you call You Can Sing Too, and it's a teaching business. And I started the podcast around the same time. You know, your husband, one of my best friends, Greg, and I were noodling how we could do make money online and what it would take to do it. And for me, I kind of went this path to help to educate artists, but also to build an audience so that I can help them with resources, visual artists in particular, and then artists with business. And you started You Can Sing Too. And so that kind of came out of for you, it came out of your teaching business. And so let's go back to that, because I know, you know, the band kind of, that went down, you went solo essentially, and you were writing and working on albums, and then you had a period of time where you were really focusing on songwriting. You've always been serious about it, but that was like serious business for you. And then I know that your kids were growing up, and you were actually doing homeschooling with kids. And I don't know if you want to mention that or not. I can take it out, but you were homeschooling with the kids, and then somewhere around there you were doing these private lessons, and that just kind of blossomed. So maybe what started that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, yeah, as I was talking about my musical journey, I didn't really share as much about my singing journey. So I was, you know, when I mentioned I was in the band, I was doing, you know, background, you know, singing and everything. But I really didn't go from that to just making my own albums. I did go from that to songwriting, because I was already songwriting, to writing my own songs. But I really wanted to get better at singing and get more confident. So I I was taking lessons. I was studying voice, and I studied with a few different teachers. And the good thing is I was really learning a lot. The challenging thing is I was learning different. Like I'd go to one teacher, and this teacher say, "Oh, well, we need to work on this part of your voice. So let me show you this." And then I do that for a while, and then they're like, you have another teacher, and then, "Oh, we need to work on this part of your voice." So I just felt like I was like, what? So many different things. And it wasn't until I remember, studying, when I started to work on the speech level singing, I started to really grasp and just feel that it was working, and that I was really growing in my singing. And so, I mean, I was growing before, but this was like it put it all together, I think is what I'm trying to say. And it wasn't like I wasn't learning and growing, but this put it all together. And then I started studying voice. And so somewhere in there, I had already started, I think I had already recorded like my first album. So if you hear my first album, you'll hear, actually hadn't started working on what I was just talking about, because you can hear that I was singing really chesty. Like I was like, like I was kind of overusing my chest voice. And then in the process, I think probably in the third album, I think that's when I really started, like putting it all together with the training that I was talking about. And I could tell like my range really started to grow. I was able to write songs, with that, I could sing higher in and feel more confident. And so during that time, I was also on the worship team at church. And I remember having friends saying, I really, wish I could make the worship team, but they didn't get in. Like they just, they wanted to sing, but they had a good, just didn't have the skills yet. And so I would say, well, maybe I can help you, So I would, start helping them. And I noticed that when I would help them, they would make the vocal team. And so I was like, maybe I'm onto something, but I don't quite I know what it's doing for my voice, but I need to understand how to teach. So then I went to go get trained to teach, and was doing that at the same time while I was songwriting as well, and doing my own music. But I was studying how to be a teacher and understanding how to train other people and to understand the concepts of what I was learning. And so then that's how I started the teaching business, because people were coming to me just from word of mouth. And they were, "Oh, I heard that you help so-and-so, can I get lessons?" And that's how I started. And then I had a business. And at the same time I was, songwriting and doing, my own music. And then a little bit later, I was really focusing on, songwriting, writing. When I would go to Nashville and write with other writers and that. But I was still teaching all during that whole time, and I loved it. It was great. I worked with, I would also work with kids where some voice teachers would say, "Oh, they're too young. We need to wait until their voice develops more." And I'd be like, "No, I'll take them, and here's why: because I'd rather them come to me now so I could teach them the right way to sing now, and rather get them years later when I've got to retrain them from the bad habits that they learned from trying to emulate this singer or this singer. Not that the singer sings bad, it's just that sometimes our method of doing that makes us sing in an unhealthy way,
because it's very physical. Singing is very physical. I mean, I don't know, it may not be as physical as ballet or karate or something, but nonetheless it's physical. And we see little kids in ballet and karate, and they're learning proper technique, and they also feel good about themselves as they're learning and doing these things. So when you work with somebody from a young age, even as their voice is developing, I imagine that's just as you surmised, it's setting them up for success.
Right, exactly. So I would do I would do these groups. I would do for kids, I would do these classes, for younger kids where they could, we'd sing fun songs, but I would always teach them, how to use their voice. I would, do vocal training in there. And then, um, with voice exercises and things like that. And then we do songs, and, I'd work in, how we were working on our voice, and then we do performances, and that was lots of fun. And, I'd work with adults. I've worked with pretty much every age group that there is, other than, infants. I mean, I probably my youngest is, I would say, maybe four, I think is the youngest, but, yeah. So, but I work with, in all different genres, and I love it. I like hearing, that exposes me to different music too. And I love seeing singers, uh, singing and hearing them reach their goals and be able to just, have the confidence and the ability to sing the songs that they want to sing. And they're like, wow, this is amazing. And it feels good. And it's, easier than, when they were straining, or when they, couldn't get those high notes, or when, they felt like they didn't have good pitch or control. And, so I think that's probably what's really rewarding, and why I do that more now than I do my own music. Doesn't mean that I don't, love doing my own music. It's that I feel like this is something I'm able to do for other people. And I decided that, I love to do my music, to share it, obviously, but for, because I feel like it's a talent that I have, but I'm not doing it to, be famous anymore like I was in the band. Or I'm not doing this so that, I can, have a song on, the radio, or, one day, or a Christian radio, or, like, there isn't anything attached to it for me. And I think that is good for me, of where I'm at in my life, because I'm able to help support people in their goals on that journey. And I can just enjoy my music for, if we do it at church, if I do write a song that, is, worship song, then we can, we do that. That's awesome. If we don't, that's fine too. If I just, I release a single, and, people love it, or, they don't, I'm enjoying that process. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, and you're really good at the gambit, like the whole range of all that you just shared. What I really like is that when you were helping people to improve their skills so that they could try out to sing at church, and when we say try out to sing at church, like, this is a church that you would sing with a full band, a rock band, and I mean, there was so much incredible skill and talent involved that there was there was just you needed to be skilled and talented to play your part to worship God. And what's really cool is that you were taking note that, oh, I helped them and they made the team. I helped them and they made the team. What you were doing is you had this research that was coming back to you, and proof of work. It's like, wow, this really works. And then you saw that there was a business in there. And I love that perspective, because I think that as artists, that's what we need to do. What problems can we solve with our creativity and our services? How do we turn it into a service that we can charge for? And so here you are, you start to teach people, after you've gone through your own training, and then all your body of work in your career as an artist, as a creative, from playing a guitar to singing background to singing foreground and leading and writing and sound engineering and all that. And you work with, like you said, children, you work with amateurs who just want to have fun and sing, and it's a hobby, to aspiring professionals to professionals. I mean, you're able to coach and help them at every level. That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. And it it's very rewarding to see that, no matter where someone is at, there's things that you can, like tools, and that you can apply that will help you, even if you're already a great singer. But, like, let's say you're singing the song and you're like, hey, this part isn't as easy, or not, like, because it's not every song is going to be easy for even, professional singers, right? And so I'm able to help people, at that level too, and say, okay, well, let's check and see the key. Let me see how you're singing it. Here's some tips for that. And, so I love that. And I love when people come to me, and I've had, people say, hey, I just want to be able to like sing karaoke and not be embarrassed, or sing along like at church in a group, and I don't want my voice to, so I've worked with all different, you know, um, I guess people in different stages of, their singing, as so to speak, so yeah, like you said, professionals, semi-professional recording artists, and people that just, they want to be able to just sing to not feel self-conscious, and sing in a group,
And
and
you did this amazing thing, and you'd still be doing it if we didn't have the pandemic, right? Where now we're all separated while this is all getting sorted out. But, Vanessa would do lessons with people, but she'd have them work on songs, so you'd work on the song for a season or a couple of songs.
Mhm.
And then she'd have a concert with everybody, and everybody would sing their song. And then the families and friends were invited, and we'd have this hall full of people. And so the students weren't just learning how to sing and working with their vocal coach and they were learning performance and actually
Mhm.
experiencing a show, which, I mean, let's face it, that's the end result, right? That's
Yeah.
where performing goes.
Hmm. Yeah, and the goal would be, I would always say, would be to celebrate, is a celebration of their progress. So from, where they were, when we first started working on this, to now here being able to, sing the song in front of people, and in an environment that is in a real performance environment, versus, here's my recital. I'm not putting down recitals. I'm just saying, like if you're getting a crowd here, it's okay, like we can all clap and go woohoo for you, and you're having, the the music, and you've got a performance kind, atmosphere is what I'm saying. So it, that I wanted students to be able to get that experience, and to celebrate their progress, and get encouragement from the people that came to, hear them perform. And now we are doing it via video. So where students will send me their videos, and then we'll, put them together, and then we're gonna you know put them together in a compilation, and then we'll show them that way. And that's another skill set too, that i I like, that it's kind of pushing people out of their comfort zone. It's like, now you're making a video of yourself singing, put your headphones on, you hear the
Yeah.
music through your headphones, you're recording on your phone, but it's also encouraging them to step out a little bit, and do this. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. And, going back to the live performance, Vanessa would always get up and, she's the host of the show, and she would set it up both at the beginning and then after the intermission, because there would be that many, there'd probably be like 15 to 18 performances, right? So you'd break it down into 9 and 9 or something, and give everybody a little break in the middle, an intermission. But she would say, hey, I want to hear you guys applaud. And, she'd kind of do the warm up of the crowd, but then put things into the proper framework where you'd say, hey, look, this is not about, you essentially said, this isn't about perfection. This is about progress. And I
Yeah.
just want you to remember that, not everybody is at the same spot. And I want you to, applaud the work that they've done, as well as the performance.
Mm-hmm.
And that was huge. And I mean, I couldn't get over the some of the performance. I mean, all the performances were very good. There was one, and you guys do guitar too, and this young guy got up and he played Dust in the Wind, and
Oh, yeah,
and he
yeah, yeah.
finger picked it. He finger picked
Uh-huh.
Dust in the Wind,
Uh-huh.
and he just smiled the whole time. And he
Mm-hmm.
and it was extraordinary. And
Yeah.
then you have people who are very good too. It's like, then you would see people who are like uh, like their tool is extraordinary,
Yeah.
and they really can go to extraordinary places with it. I hope I'm saying that well. I don't
Yeah.
know if I am, but
Yeah. Yeah. You are, the goal would be to celebrate the progress, and, you have some people that would be up there, have some, people that would be up there that we had just started, and, but, we worked on something and they were going to share it, right? They felt confident, or they at least, we felt like we would make sure that, they felt ready to do it. But, that shows you the progress. And I would always say, this isn't American Idol. This is not a singing contest or a guitar, a contest. They're not going up against each other. This is to show what they've been working on and their progress from the, this from the last time, or, from this specific time period. And I think that really helped people, because, you know, I want to praise people for what, they're accomplishing, and not compare them to somebody who, this person's a recording artist. This person
right.
comes in and, they, they've been singing for a while. They've been with me for a while. And this person, just started, and wow, look what they've done, and not comparing them. So I think that was something really important. And I think that's just important. And it's important for singing. It's important for anything that we do, because once we start comparing ourselves, then we start to feel, we compare ourselves to somebody that maybe has been at it longer, or, whatever. And then we start to feel inferior. And I think that, like I said, it applies to singing, but it also applies to, business, right? So it's like, you're like, wow, that person, they're doing this, this, and this. And, here I am, just making my YouTube videos, like, you can kind of feel like, wow, they have all these views, and, but what you don't know is their story, and their, that it takes work, and it takes effort, and it takes showing up. That's the thing. Like, I think one of the reason I'm able to, sing well now and teach well is because I showed up, and I kept at it, and I learned what I needed to learn to be able to do it. And then sometimes you just got to push through. There was times where I just had to push through. There were times where, as a singer, and when I was like, first getting out there, I would get nervous, and I would, like, forget the words, or I would, sing a bad note, and I'd be like, I'm never doing this again, and then I would, like, be like, okay, but yeah, that sucked, and I'm going to do it again afterwards,
Yeah.
after I had my little pity party, it's like, I'm going to do it again. And I just kept at it, and I kept at it, and I found what worked for me. And, now I love to sing, and I love to teach. So there you go. I think that's a, you know, uh, it's a life lesson,
Yeah.
show up, keep working on it, and if what you're doing isn't working, find out what does work. And that's kind
Yeah.
of how it was my journey with voice too. Like I said, I was doing learning a lot of different things, but I had to find that right thing that was going to, like, bring it together, and it did. And I worked at it.
Yeah. I love that. I was thinking the other day about working on an episode of this called Everything's Hard, Do It Anyway. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's
Hmm.
hard. Everything
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
and it's not until you get some perspective and some time under your belt that you can look back and go, oh wait, look how far I've come. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think the other thing I'm learning too, it's like I'm doing a lot of things with You Can Sing too that I, had to get better at, like one, speaking and to the camera, right? Because I'm speaking to
Yeah.
people that, I can't see. And so it's easier to speak to someone when I'm doing a lesson, right? So, I've got to get into that focus. Also, I have ADHD. So sometimes I'd be recording and I just say something like just unrelated. My husband would be like, why'd you do that? I'd be like, I don't know. So I had to start, like, scripting, because I had to realize, like, hey, you can't do, like, it's different when you're doing a lesson, because you're doing this and the person's doing this and you're going there. But now I'm talking, and I'm not, hearing the person, or, so it's like, I'm have ADHD. Sometimes I'm just going away, so now I have to like script. I don't like to script because I like to just, do it, but I'm not good at just talking to the camera if I haven't scripted in advance. I'm just
Yeah.
not. I wish I was. And in scripting, sometimes it's hard because I feel like I want to do this just like I'm doing a lesson. I don't want to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make it sound like I'm giving you a lecture or whatever, and that's been kind of hard. But I was like, well, apparently I'm not good at just, I'm taking too many rabbit trails without, so now I do like
It's
bullet
just
points,
another
or I'll do
skill
everything.
though, right? It's another
Yeah.
skill. It's another, it's hard, but do it
Yeah.
anyway.
Right. And there's some things I've realized, like, there's some things that are hard and I'm not meant to do.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, and I've decided that it's okay to say, this is not something I'm probably gonna, it's like, it's not in my skill set and I hate it and it's taking up too much time. I'm gonna hire someone to do this, because I had to give myself permission to do that. Because, like, for example, I, asked you to do my banner for uh, for YouTube, because I sat there for a half of a day and it looked crappy, and I was like, I can't figure this out. I hate this. And my husband Greg said, why don't you ask John? So if those of you watching or listening, you can go and see that John created my banner for You Can Sing Too, and he had it done. Like, I think messaged me like an hour later or even less than that. I was like, wow, I've been messing with this for half of a day and it looks terrible. And then here you are. But that was your skill set. It's
Right.
not mine. And it wasted too much time and energy. So I do think it's like, there are things that you have to, like, for example, if you want to be a better, singer, you're going to have to work on those skills. Right. But if, you are an entrepreneur and you're like, okay, here's my area of expertise. And yeah, I've got to learn some things in those. That's hard. Like, I have to do my own videos, right? So I have to do it. It's not like something I can, hey, talk to my husband. Can you, uh, you know, pretend that you're a singer, singing teacher and do this video for me? No, I can't do that, right? I have to acquire those skills. But do I have to acquire the skill to make a banner or to, do like the website stuff, or do I? No, it literally makes me angry. Like, I literally feel like a different person. I hate it. Like, I feel angry. I'm like, I hate this. I want to be able to work with people and teach people. And yes, I like, doing the videos, but I hate this. And I'm mad now. I'm just mad. I'm just mad. I just hate it. And so I finally had to say, well, I was doing some coaching, and in fact, and I was doing some coaching, for, with, I've been doing some coaching with a lady named Carla Biesinger. She's awesome. And another coach, her name is Carrie. Oh, I feel so bad. I can't remember the last name. But she, Capel, Carrie Capel. And she said, sometimes you just have to give yourself permission to say, I'm not good at this, and I'm going to hire somebody for this. And I needed her to say that to me because I didn't feel like it was powerful enough for me to just say it to myself. So I guess I want to share this for other entrepreneurs. Like, if you need permission, like, and somebody's telling you, like, I want to share my story because I was angry. Like, I was having hours of feeling like inadequate, angry at trying to do this technical stuff that I just wasn't good at.
Right.
And it would take somebody else, like, a quarter of the time to do. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to have to invest in this. And I also invested in coaching because I am I'm a people person. And I have ADHD as well. And I like, in my mind, I can do everything. So I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be
Well,
like,
and
well,
and frankly, you're an overachiever, right? From one overachiever to another, you
yes.
know, it can be a real drawback for us because we're like, I can figure this out. I can do
Yeah.
this.
Right. Right. You think, okay, I can do this. And then, I'd wake up and I'd be like, I want to do everything today. So I want to, build my website, and I want to make a video. And then I want to, I'm teaching today. And then I've got all these other, things on my list. And it's like, what? No, you're not going to be able to do all that. And plus, then I'd be so overwhelmed. I'd be like, I don't even know where to start. So so I decided to invest in myself and my sanity and get some coaching. And it helps me kind of figure out, okay, here's the next steps. No, I'm not going to be able to do all those things, because I'm like a high achiever, but I'll run and do all these things, and then I'm exhausted, and then I'm burnt out. So it's helped me with that. It's helped me focus. It's helped me give myself permission to say, it's okay that I am not good at technical things. And it's okay that, I will take the time to learn the things that I have to do that have to be done by me, but I will invest in things that I don't need to be doing that
Just
someone else
saying
can do.
that, doesn't that make you like, you can breathe out and it's like, it feels really good, doesn't it?
Yes, it feels
Yeah.
great. I'm so happy when I started, getting help with that. I was like, thank you. I'm so glad I did this, because now it puts me in areas that am good at,
Yeah.
which is communicating and, talking to singers and helping them and, sharing, the information. And now I'm not bogged down sitting behind a computer. I don't even like to sit for long periods of time. So,
Right.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I had to
anyway.
have you put a
So
seatbelt on for this
yeah.
interview.
When you were like, so we're
Yeah.
gonna talk for this amount of time, I was like, am I gonna be able to sit this long? But yeah, I guess once I'm talking, it's hard for me to just sit if there's no interaction. But if I'm
So,
talking, I can do it.
so
I'm moving. I'm
tell me
moving.
about, because you started to tell me a little bit about some of the tasks you do with You Can Sing Too. Tell me about You Can Sing Too, what it's about, how it came about, and where it's headed.
Okay. So You Can Sing Too is really, I started it because I'm passionate to be able to share singing tips and encouragement like I do with the students that I work with on a bigger scale, so that I can encourage singers that, they're in different countries. They're seeing these videos and or they're here, but they are not taking voice lessons. And so they can take this tool. I can encourage them and I can show them, simple and effective tools that they can use to sing better. So I developed, singing courses, some that are, quick, simple tips that you can apply right now to sing the song, more in depth ones that have like, my best vocal lessons on there. So it's like, oh, I'm serious. I want to train my voice more. Well, here's one with lessons, and then there's song applications and that, and then there's some vocal coaching that comes with that. So I just decided that, this is something that I've been doing for years and I want to share this with more people. So it's a vehicle to be able to encourage and share with more singers. Then I can, there's only so much time in a day that I can, um, just do one-on-one coaching. So that's how I got started with doing that, and, making quick tip videos on Instagram. So I just started making these, videos, and people were like, this really helped me. So, that was great feedback. And so then recently, I think maybe just in the last few months, I've started doing longer videos, for YouTube. And, I enjoy it. That's added, extra time to my schedule, but I wanted to be able to give some more in-depth, info too, that I can do on YouTube. So the YouTube channels You Can Sing To, Vanessa E vocal coach. And so that's a newer thing that I've been doing. And then just sharing tips, when people sign up for my mailing list, I share regular tips with the singers, encourage them throughout the week to, give them some information, some tips that they can be working on, or tools. And yeah, so I've met a lot of great people, great singers, people, wanting to sing better, and that I would not have been able to connect with had it not been for starting You Can Sing Too and sharing this, information and videos and tips.
And you're really active on social media too. Is that how you've grown your email list? Is it by being very direct and contacting people, or do you have a lead magnet, or?
Yes. Through Instagram, yeah, very active on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook as well. And I post, I try to post at least 1 or 2 videos a week, but some now, because I'm doing the YouTube, it's probably like a video a week, and then I try to post something encouraging each week. And I have tip sheets that people can sign up for. Like I have a high note tip sheet, cheat sheet actually, so that you can learn some tips for easily, singing your high notes. And so
Did they
that
find
is,
that is that Instagram, Vanessa?
yeah, if you go, You Can Sing Too.
That's where I'm going to look right now,
Uh-huh.
just to
You
see.
find that. And in my bio, there's a link to get right now there's a link, I think, to the free vocal exercise. You can get the free vocal
Got
exercise.
you.
And but when somebody follows me on Instagram, I welcome them, thank you for following, and I'm excited to share tips with you. And I also have a goodie for you, and they can choose between a high note cheat sheet or a low note cheat sheet. And so that, it'll give them some great tips, for singing high notes or low notes. And then it is a lead magnet too, so they can be on my mailing list to get, regular tips and info, as far as like singing, but encouragement and offers, things that are coming up or new. They'll be the first to know, hey, I've got this new, product. In fact, we do have a new product. It's called Vocal Toolbox. And so I'll share that, with the people on my mailing list, that are, because I've been sharing with them tips, and I want to be able to let them know first and give them an opportunity to get this product if it's something they feel like, they could really benefit from, and they'll get some special offers.
Do you have a regular schedule for your email list, or is it kind of as you come up with things, you'll send things to people?
My goal is once a week.
Yeah.
So, and doing the YouTube videos has helped me, because I share when I share that once a week, I'll share what the tips are, and I'll let them know the tips. So that will be in the email. So in case they don't watch the video, I'm giving them the tips, but then I also let them know that the video's out there too, so that way I can keep in touch, giving them, regular singing tips and
Yeah.
tools that they can apply. And then if there's something else going on, special offer, like for now, I'm going to let everybody know about the Vocal Toolbox, which is almost done. It's done. It will be, I will be announcing it. But when you're watching this, it'll already be out.
Yeah.
Right. I will be sharing with them, what's in the Vocal Toolbox and the benefits that, we'll be able to, the benefits they'll get from this Vocal Toolbox, which is really cool. And so I will send out some emails for that, letting them know, and giving a special, offer, because I want to appreciate the people that are on my emailing list and have been with me, so that they can, have access to these special offers first.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's such a great journey, that you've shared. And you're, Vanessa, we've known each other for years. Vanessa is essentially my sister from another mister. Can I say that? Is that weird? But she's
What other parents?
yeah. So she's a very close family friend. And Greg was in an earlier episode, and they're dear friends, and they're incredibly creative, and as creative as they are, which is awesome, and people seem to like to be around creative people. I know I do. They're even better people. Like they care for people, and they care that people do well. I mean, you hear that. I hear that from you, Vanessa, as you're sharing and celebrating your students. And I love that about you. And, I particularly, I love that you've loved my son so well through that when my son was singing with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, to see your journey, and to know that you were like a rockin' shredder of a guitarist, like that's awesome. And then, to hear the beautiful songs that you write and how you sing and how you, you worship with your songs is just, it's fantastic. And, I'm just so blessed to have you in my life. But I guess what I kind of swinging this toward is that it's cool that you've been able to work from teaching one-on-one and groups with all of your past experience, and now you're with your business, you're looking to make it scalable so that you can reach thousands, millions of people with what it is that you do. And it's a great program by a great teacher and a better person. But as far as business goes, it's just such a smart approach to your business. I think that's really cool. So
thank you. Well, thank you.
yeah,
And thank you for your kind words.
yeah.
I appreciate them. And, you've inspired me with, how you use your artistic talents, and, that encourages me. And how you are able to encourage people, and you're a great teacher as well. And you're also, so good at esteeming people. And that's important because, artists, like, we can tend to be a sensitive bunch. We need that encouragement because, how many times as artists we think, oh, I look at that person, they do that, and I'm not that good, or, and we need that encouragement for someone to believe in us, and I think you do that very well. I know that's something that, I do with my students too. Like, I want to be their cheerleader because I know in their head, they're doubting sometimes, and they need someone to say, yes, you can do this. You can. That's why, we chose the name, You Can Sing Too. It's like, you can. You don't have to have this amazing voice to be a good singer. You can be a good singer, and sometimes people with amazing voices I've had, and yes, you obviously both is, great. Both are great. But, I've had singers come in super talented, but not want to like work, like not want to like apply. And, and then you've got the other person that comes in and, maybe, their natural gifting isn't as strong as the other person, but they work, and it's like, wow, look at this person, like and now their voice is amazing. So it's, you can't, underestimate what you can do when you want to do it. And we all need encouragement too, though. And I would say too, for people listening, if you're not getting encouragement, find a place where you can get encouragement. Find someone that'll believe in you, get coaching, find someone that's gonna, give you the skills and the encouragement, that you need so you can step out and do it.
Yeah, I think that is incredible advice. I grow as an artist by being close to other creatives. Greg has had a huge impact on me. You have, and then there's a number of other artists who I'm able to call close friends, and I grow because of them, whether they're sculptors or musicians or whatever it is, because there is something like about different arts that it all kind of rolls over, and it's not just about the art, it's about how the person approaches their craft, and that's the stuff that I love to take from. And just to emphasize and put an exclamation on what you said about coaching and looking for encouragement, I think that is just maybe the biggest thing that we can do as artists, as anybody really, whatever it is you're going after.
Yeah,
but
in
for
entrepreneurs,
yourself,
like, I'm getting coaching, to help me be better at what I do, and to know what I should be working on, just to give myself permission to get help. That's really helped me.
So Vanessa, if people want to learn more about You Can Sing Too, where can they go?
You can find me on Instagram, You Can Sing Too. On YouTube, You Can Sing Too, Vanessa E vocal coach. And you can get a free tip sheet on either one of those. So if you want a free singing tip sheet or a vocal exercise, I've got goodies in there for you as well. And then if you get the tip sheet and you want to sign up for my email list, then we can be in contact. You can ask me any singing questions and get a lot more goodies as well.
Vanessa, thank you so much for being my guest. I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for how creative you are and for everything you shared in this episode. And I'm also grateful for who you are in my life to me and my family and how you love us so well. I particularly love how you care for people and that you are an encourager. And that's something that you've done, I mean, since I've known you, but I've seen it blossom into your business, into your vocal training and your guitar teaching, as well as piano. I mean, you really cultivate people's talents and skills so very well. And I love your journey. I love how you never stop. I love how you keep on going and going and going, and that you've developed from, being in the band to just playing guitar to eventually saying, hey, you want to be a vocalist, to switching gears from, heavy metal to Christian music, and then switching gears yet again into vocal instructor, in person. And I've seen you now grow into an online presence, and it's just incredible. You follow that trail, the thread of that trail going all the way back. You can see how it all adds up, but it's not easy to see when you're in the middle of it or when you're just starting out, where the road will lead. And it's not always easy. There's lots of hills, there's lots of valleys, but Vanessa has surely done her work and is continuing to do her work. So if you want to reach Vanessa, you can follow her on Instagram at You Can Sing Too, and that's the number two. You Can Sing Too. It's in the show notes below. And while you're there, you can follow her, and then you can see that she has a link for a high notes tip sheet, and it's pretty helpful. So I recommend that you go and do that. Follow her there, and you'll be able to see all the things that Vanessa is doing and all the things that she has to offer. And she will help you as a vocalist. I can speak to that firsthand. So, on behalf of the Breakthrough Creative, I'm John McDavitt. I thank you so much for watching. Again, please share with the artists in your life. And I hope that you're getting busy working on something that is propelling you forward in your creative business, so that you can either experience income and success, or just go to the stars with it. Maybe you're well on your way already and you're just going to do something new or something more, or you're switching gears and you're getting into a new area that is exciting and challenging, but you keep on growing. So have a spectacular week, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.